Well, boys and girls, we're doing a back-to-back tonight. Uh, we talked to Miss Jacqueline Sparks. I know you're familiar with Miss Sparks. Don't know where that's gonna go. We might throw that in a conversation, see how that's gonna happen. But look at what we got tonight now, boys and girls. Stirring the pot, Donkey Cave, with my very special guest, the Antihero, Chaz Marinelli. What's up, my man?
Not much, man. Not much. Yourself?
Well, we've been kicking back. This has been the busiest Saturday I've had in a long ass time. I haven't done any interviews in months, so I thought I'd kick it up a notch and start getting the ball rolling again. And you guys, today has been the first. I had three in one day. Don't know why I did that. I got a screw loose, but here we are in the third. We're gonna do a nightcap, if you will, with the anti-hero. So it's been a busy day, and we're gonna cap it all off with my man Chaz Marinelli. It's been about 6 months or so, as it was with my previous guest this evening. And I want to give you a thank you, first off, for when I put a status out there for reaching out and wanting to come on and doing a follow up, because I don't expect anybody to want to come back on and talk to my ugly ass. So I appreciate that, my friend.
Oh, no problem, man. Anytime. I just like telling the stories, man. I like getting the stories out there. A lot of people don't understand what goes on behind the scenes, and all the uphill battles and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Nobody knows all that stuff, the nitty gritty, if you will.
Well, let's start off with you're good through this whole COVID bull crap that's going on yourself and all of that good stuff, right? You're
Oh yeah.
okay?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Excellent. Let me mute this though. This is kicking my ass. There is one notification that keeps coming up, and now I just stopped that. That's great to hear. I see you got a beautiful strap back there. It's green, very different, might I add. You don't see many green straps, if any at all. What strap is that? What does it represent? What company? Let's talk about that strap right off the top.
So that title right there is actually not mine. Well, I mean everything's mine, but in the sense, that championship right there is actually the RICW Tag Team Championship. It's actually our newer style belt, and this belt, believe it or not, came from Brigade Belts, and we wanted to stand out and have the green strap because the green is our color.
Okay.
But for the longest time, we, like most companies that start up, we had some crappy belts that we needed to get rid of, and this is what replaced it. And now these titles are actually the titles that belong to DCMC's Detox, Jason Devine, Ricky Medeiros. They are the current RSW Tag Team Champions. I have the title right now because it needs to be cleaned up. Some scratches need to be buffed out and stuff like that. But that division, is very close and near and dear to me. You know what I mean? I've dealt in the tag team division for a very, very long time, and my partner Jamie Tucker. We essentially built up the tag team division and had great teams like Detox come in and run rampant on the rest of the tag team division. Pumpalicious is another one. So that title is very important to me, whether I have it or not. But yeah, it's just a really nice looking belt. The green strap makes it authentic. It makes it stand out. A lot of people sit there and they like all the colorful straps. This one has a purpose. This is a legit RSW championship. And by the way, we were the first ones to start going through Brigade Belt, so everybody else copied after us.
How do we find Brigade Belt if we want to get some championship material made?
You can actually find Brigade right on Google. You just type in BrigadeChampionshipBelts.com. They pop up on the search engine. You click on there. I believe he has a lot more styles. This one is the Emperor style. But I believe he has about 7 other styles of belts that are on his site that you get as a template and put your own stuff on it, and everything is essentially it's stainless steel with I believe it's a brazed graphics on it. So we have a couple belts like this. Our RSW tag team titles like this, and our original RSW Universal Championship was like this. So
now, I have to say, That's the first green strap I think I've ever seen. I mean, I know there's stuff that's accented with green with many companies, or the plates or the emblem, the logo rather, and such. But I can't remember seeing a green strap. So it's been catching my eye. And I'm sorry if I'm looking past you on the camera because that green strap is just catching that green strap is catching my eye, sir.
Yeah, I mean it's a nice piece, man. When we first got him, it was like everybody, it was like all the solo wrestlers all of a sudden wanted to be tag team partners, and they all wanted to go for that belt. Something nice, shiny, and new. They're like kids.
So I want to kind of touch upon something because you're very you're very in tune with the RICW. There's been an occurrence as of late in the past few months to where the RICW and the other promotions under the umbrella of the Chop Shop, and I spoke about this earlier, but I kind of want to get your take on this because the more people I talk and get their takes, I don't know. That's just me. So I just kind of, I'd rather talk to more people about it. But the RICW and such were all under umbrella of the Chop Shop 2 out in Pawtucket. And now it's not there anymore. What's going on with the RICW? And is there anything in the future? Are you going to stay under that same umbrella with the other companies and find a home like the Chop Shop? Or are you going to kind of maybe do something else on your own and find your own place?
It's complicated right now. It's too early to tell like what direction we're really going to go in. But right now, it's just put on the back burner. Everybody's safety and health is top priority. And when things subside, like down here in our Rhode Island, RI, um, we have our great governor continues to put pause on all everything going on, the festivities and mom and pop shops. They got to close down at certain times and be at certain capacities for restaurants. So it's a little tough to really pinpoint what we're going to be able to do uh, with wrestling or when we're going to be able to do it. But we have released teasers on our RSW page because we want the fans to know that we haven't stopped. Like there's no stop for RSW or anybody involved in RSW, and we want to keep the hope there that sooner or later this will break and we'll be able to come back. And I know the last time we were talking, I think it was like after our last actual live event, and we were talking about how the virus is going to affect things, and none of us would have thought that we wouldn't have wrestled for
I know.
9 months.
My
Um,
goodness.
but RSW is still, I guess, in spirit, very strong. We still have guys going out and maybe a couple guys, but they still go out and they still work certain shows that are still running, if they are still running. I mean, but but it's tough, man. It's hard. Like for me personally, dude. Uh, I used to wrestle at the Chop Shop, especially at the Chop Shop, probably at least once every weekend. Not counting the doubles or the triples. 3 shows a weekend. To do that many shows a year, every weekend, to doing literally 8 shows this year. You know what I mean? It was like
Right.
hitting a brick wall, dude. Going 80 and piling wall,
Yep.
and it just sucks, dude, because everybody's like, "Oh well, this is time for you to recover. This is time for you to relax and to focus on other things and get yourself in the shape." Yeah, when you got a gym and you got those things at your disposal, but they don't realize that all the bumps that you take, once you stop taking those bumps, your body gets used to the trauma. Once you stop
Yes.
taking those bumps and you stop doing these things that you're used to doing every weekend, now you're in more pain. I mean, I was waking up wrestling when I was wrestling. I'd wake up and it'd be like snap, crackle, pop. You know what I mean? The normal, you know, musical stylings of your body when you wake up after wrestling every weekend. And I'd be ready to go. Now I wake up and it's like you need like a shovel to get me off the bed. Like I can't move. You know what I mean? And I feel it in my joints. They're starting
Mm-hmm.
to like tweak. So I mean, it just all that took a huge. It definitely dealt a huge blow to everybody involved in the Chop Shop. And I can't
Mm-hmm.
speak for RWA or Proving Ground or any of those guys. Watch this fight. But for RSW, there will be something in the future. There will be something coming down the lines, and we're working on that. You know, even
Okay.
with everything going on, we're still looking for a building. We're still planning things out because if we do have to go separate, then we want to make sure all of our bases are
Mm-hmm.
full. So
Keeping within the RICW. Now, I'm curious, as a fan, uh, do promotions, or I can't. I know you can't speak for all promotions, but I'm just saying, uh, as RICW, do you guys keep the storylines alive as we are down right now, waiting for when we can return and get things rolling again? Now, are you keeping these same storylines at a halt to where they were pre-COVID, or are you looking to maybe stir shit up a little bit and change things when you come out of the gate? I mean, how does that work in a promotion? You just kind of stay where you were and move along when you start back up, or do you change it around a little bit?
the dynamics that we're looking at right now is some of the things that were going on at the closing of wrestling, if you will, during the 2020 pandemic. Um, some of those things were supposed to be the end of certain feuds, certain storylines, and then we were supposed to have new storylines and feuds start up after. Um, I would say that it's kind of half and half going forward. When we come back, there might be some that you see continuing on, and there might be some new ones coming out. What this is kind of like a blessing in disguise. Um, for things that weren't working, you get certain people that are feuding with each other, and it's not working out. It's not getting the people's attention, or people aren't invested. You're going to separate those people, and you're going to put them in some other place. But I mean, when we closed out 2019, the people were chomping at the bits, man. They enjoyed Jacqueline Sparks winning the Universal Championship. Um, even going in as far as the beginning of 2020 with the Jack Kruger and Chris Dozer feud. I know people really wanted to see Jamie Tucker face the Warzone champion Mike Montero for the title, which was supposed to happen back in April. And I'm sure if there are people, they wanted to see the brand finally shut up the Lethal Adams. And those are certain things that I believe, can continue. But again, it's a matter of when we come back, how we come back,
Right.
and who's going to come back. Because we're talking, something that's not just going to go away in the night. This is going to continue.
And I've said that before too. When we do come back, we won't probably see all of the same faces that we saw pre-COVID. Like, we might not see everybody come back. They may go to a different area, or they may have to have moved because of said, whatever's going on in their lives or whatever. So we might lose some familiar faces when things really come back. And I hope we don't, but I have a feeling we might be missing some of those familiar faces. Now, titles. Again, this is, and I think you're one of the perfect people that I can talk to about stuff like this. Now, titles, as a fan. Now, Jacqueline Sparks, she's the Universal Champion at RICW. Okay, I'll use her as an example because we're both very familiar with. Now, she wins the belt on X date. Okay, now COVID hits, and she's still been champion all along, as many others in many other promotions are in the same boat as Miss Sparks. Now, do we say that Miss Sparks has been the year and a half long champion? Or, like, do we put asterisks next to the champions' names? What do promotions, or what are the promotions doing in their companies right now with the champions? Is it all just business as usual? Me as a fan, I am so effing curious on this question, and I think you're one of the guys that could answer this for me.
I'm honestly the same way. I mean, I know what we're doing, but as far as like everybody else, I'm trying to figure out if they're just gonna put a pause on X date and say, hey, this is where we're picking things up and we're going forward from here, or if you're gonna be like us, um, we're continuing the streaks. So if Jacqueline Sparks was champion since last December, she's a champion since last December. All of our champions have the right to go elsewhere and defend their titles against anyone, anywhere.
Wait,
So,
wait, wait. Just pause real quick. I hate to interrupt people, but you get me excited when you say things like that. I love that statement right there. You're saying that a champion from RICW is more than happy if they want to, because they have the blessing that they can go to other companies with their said championships and not only just show up with them, but defend said championships. Is that what you're saying?
of course, our champions are given the opportunity to go wherever they may please and defend their titles against whoever steps up, or
Wow.
whatever promotion will have them defend the titles. So, I mean, it's open, and that's why their reigns are continuing. You got guys, all of our champions are still the same from the day that all this stuff hit. You know, Coach Will is still the RSW Intercity champion. Mike Montero is still the Warzone champion. Detox, Jason Devine, Ricky Medeiros is still the tag team champions, and Jacqueline Sparks is still Universal champion. Nothing's changing. But it's just these guys can go out and they can defend their titles anywhere at any time. So, I mean, it's up to the talent if they want to do that, because they're the champions, and we give them that opportunity to go and do so.
You know, sir, that statement got me all sorts of excited because you don't see that in very many promotions at all. Because either the said promotion that has that championship doesn't want to have their champion maybe lose it in another promotion, or they just don't want to be associated with that promotion, or many other reasons for whatever why promotions don't do that on a regular basis. I would absolutely love that shit if I saw more champions from different promotions coming over, hanging out, getting more eyes on them for their promotion at this promotion, and vice versa. It works both ways. And because the reason being, sir, is when I first started going to independent wrestling, I was told by a personality that I started becoming friendly with, he was stripped of a title because he just brought it. Never mind defending it. He just brought it and showed up as their champion, and they stripped the poor bastard of it. Now, you saying a statement like that is beautiful because I think it should be doors open. And I don't know, not everybody's going to agree with me. And I know that some will agree with me. I think it would be a fun thing if that would happen more often.
See, now you bring up a perfect point. Um, the way wrestling is now, or the way wrestling was back in the day, uh, doesn't have to be that way anymore. A lot of the talents that RSW has, you can see them all over Rhode Island normally when we're working, or you can see them in Mass, or you can see them in Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, all around the New England area. Um, you're using the same talents that somebody else is already using. Nobody is held to exclusivity contracts and all that jazz. So um, the biggest thing I believe is that I think all wrestling promotions, if they left their ego at the door and came together, I mean, you essentially would have an alliance that would overthrow the big leagues. You know what I'm saying? If you take all these promotions in Rhode Island, there's about 10 promotions running out, and that's just the ones that I can think off the top of my head right now. You took all those promotions and had them work together, have this integrated system where they were all working together. Uh, it's all about the fans, man. It's all about having fun with it. I don't know understand why people don't have fun with it. I don't understand why people aren't having people work. The RWA championship working over and at Live Prov, or why the RSW tag team champions can't wrestle at somewhere like XWA. Just throwing it out there, or Test of Strength. there's all these promotions around here that can work together and create something that nobody else has ever seen. And I'm not saying go back to the old days where, everything is regional. I'm saying take the promotions, stop being cutthroat and being like, hey, I'm money hungry. I'm not money hungry. I've ran RSW for the last 12 years, almost 12 years, and I've essentially been close to broke, man. I ain't money hungry. I'm giving fans what they want, I'm giving guys opportunity. Why can't it be like that everywhere?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I think if you take all these promotions, put them together, you could have something that's unrivaled. You can legit compete with the big leagues if you have all these independent wrestling promotions working together.
I know I am not the only one because, again, my personal opinion, not everybody's going to agree with me with this again, I'm sure. But I've always thought, because for us, the fans, I think it would just be amazing. And it can happen locally. And I'm not talking about on a TV platform. I'm talking around our area between, New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, those 4 states right there, just to name those 4 alone. If we could do some kind of super cool fucking tournament somewhere and have an inter-promotional tournament. And I'm not saying whoever the winner is takes everybody's belts or everybody's trophies from their fucking promotion. But what I'm saying is, again, more eyes on A, the talent, and B, the promotion. And I think it would be so much fun if we could see a guy from Tessa Strength, a guy from XWA, a guy from PAPW, a guy from RICW, and a guy from Immortal, and I mean I can keep going on, and have this. And it could be an annual thing, it could be a biannual thing, it could be every 6 months.
You call it the New England Grand Prix.
It could be something so effing fun, Mr. Antihero. I really think. Did I just call you Mr. Antihero? What the fuck was that? But I'm telling you, that idea I think would just be a lot of fun, not only for us but for the peers in the industry to go from state to state and company to company and be in those locker rooms and stuff like that. I just think that would be a tons of fun.
Oh, I agree. 100%. That and that's the thing, man. Like us personally, like you've seen how the Chop Shop worked. You had all these companies under one umbrella. You see talent from there, here, and then talent from here, there. You know what I mean? You saw all the guys that you came to see, and you seen great matches, and everything was different in each promotion. You could do the same thing. You've had I was RWA and RSW tag team champions with Jamie Tucker. You know what I mean? We are RSW guys. We went to RWA and we took both tag team titles, not just one set. And we lost them in RSW about a month later. But the thing is that, those titles crossed over. That's the whole thing, is like you're giving people these dream matches and these what ifs, you know what I mean? And that's the thing that we like, dude. That's the thing that I like to do. I like to see belts other places because that means that you got something new coming to the table. You know what I mean? So, hey, it is what it is. Maybe one day.
You never know. No, I'd like to touch upon, really not that long ago, before this uptick that we've got going on, there's a promotion that was running in Woonsocket. Mr. James Allen having some fun up there, boy. And if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Chaz Marinelli was part of that, was he not?
Yeah, I was part of that. I was part of a bunch of things that night that a lot of people are going to probably be pissed about.
So we should not speak of that evening? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's cool, dude. I don't care, man. That's why I'm called the Antihero. I just don't. I don't
okay.
Care,
fair enough.
You spend too long thinking about stuff, and then it drives you nuts. It's not worth it.
So let's talk about who did you have a match against? Just to give fill us the fans in on the evening.
So the match was supposed to be, I think it was like supposed to be a over the top rope battle royal fatal fall way type of deal, and instead it became a gauntlet.
Okay.
Yeah, it was confusing, but it is what it is, man. I go with the flow.
Yeah.
But I wasn't originally supposed to be in the match. I ended up getting contacted by the Bakers, Brickhouse and David Baker, and they ended up asking me if I was available for that day. And I've been a part of NWW, but back in 2009. So we're talking like about 10-year gap since I've been in
Oh wow.
NWW.
No
And
kidding.
and when I came in, I seen all kinds of faces that I remembered and stuff like that. But I told Brickhouse, hell yeah, I'm game. But I faced Hotshot Deshaun and technically Devin Baker and Dick Lane. And yeah, that's a weird combination of people to put up in a match, but
It is. Yes. The whole mixture. Yes.
oh yeah, but yeah, so me and Hotshot Deshaun started it off, and me and Hotshot Deshaun have this weird uh, hate, love hate relationship where I just love hating him. You know what I mean? Like I just love punching him in the face a couple times. No, I mean Deshaun's a cool kid, but he gets overzealous, and it showed in that match. You know what I mean? We were fighting. We got outside the ring. Um, he got me down, and he was going for a top rope maneuver. And this video is still all over Twitter, by the way. He goes for a top rope moonsault, and he jumped out towards the crowd and barely caught me. And I ended up bringing him right down on the guardrail to stop his momentum. And hey, it got me the win of the match. Well, that elimination, I should say. But yeah, so that's everywhere, by the way, and definitely not my fault. When you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, and he won the prize. But then I was quickly eliminated by Dick Lane after because me and Jacqueline were having a miscommunication. It was the first time that we worked together for like a couple of years, man. So you know, but yeah, dude, it was fun. It was fun to go back to my old stomping grounds and see some familiar faces, see new faces, and but yeah, 2020 screwed me up because I was planning on getting more out there this year. You know what I mean? I've reached out to more people. I was trying to get the brand out there. I was trying to get a couple of RSW guys to cross over, over state lines, get down and be introduced to the system, how it works. And, 2020 kind of jammed the freaking, nail in my tire on that one, I guess. So, I mean, there's always when this subsides that we could go try and do it again, but it's tough, man. It's not easy.
It definitely it's been a rough gig, that's for sure, all around, man. Obviously not just wrestling. Now, Miss Sparks, Antihero Chaz Marinelli, she's your valet. Is that correct?
No.
How is this relationship? Because I just spoke to Ms. Sparks earlier. She did mention the match. I didn't want to dive into it with her because I wasn't sure where that was going to go. So I figured I'd wait to speak to you about what's going on with this here.
So I'm sure she spoke upon it because that's her like masterpiece. But the fall of a group that we were part of, she ended up getting involved with somebody else doing this different thing, and then we came back and we beat each other up, and then yeah. But no, she came out to be my valet once, and yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. She's not like me and her aren't really enemies anymore, so we're like cool, but it's I don't know, it's a weird subject. It's a weird thing to talk about.
Hey, well,
you have your ex-girlfriend valeting you at a show.
hey, man, better you than me. That's for sure. Now, I know we can't read the future, but where does Chaz Marinelli go from here? I know we just spoke upon you wanted to get out there. Is there anything specific, anywhere specific, or you just, you were just going to kind of reach out, or what was going on with Chaz and reaching out?
I've reached out to a few promotions. Of course, COVID affects every other state differently. It's all about how the government wants to play things off. Obviously, nobody's thinking about running shows. They're thinking about safety first. Same thing as us. Ain't no problem with that. But what the future holds for me, I've dealt with a lot of stuff this year. 2020 has not been kind to me. And I just feel like I have a lot of animosity to let out. I have a lot of anger, a lot of suppressed feelings that I have to let out. And are a lot of people going to be upset when I'm finally, unleashed? Of course. I love upsetting the established order of things. But to really put it in perspective for you, Don, I'm coming for everything.
Oh,
I want it all. So there's nothing that's going to stop me. And, beginning of this year, when COVID first hit, I debated, hanging up my boots and, watching people on TV, uh, seeing how close to home, the scouting is.
hmm
Nah, I want it all. I want it all. I want to go right to the top, and that's either being a tag team, trios, or a singles wrestler. I want it all. I want to make
Now, I'm going to mention a couple tag teams that I'm sure you're very familiar with because you just mentioned uh, eyes are everywhere, and you never know who's watching. Uh, Guys like Private Party getting picked up, putting on that AEW platform. Guys like uh, Ortiz and Santana, formerly of a different name, of maybe 5 or 6 letters or so. We don't. You're seeing guys like that being put on the platform as such as AEW, and I mean I can keep going on, but you are correct,
sure.
sir. You never know who's watching out there.
I think the whole and this is being completely biased because I'm from the area. I think New England has the best pro wrestling out there, and that's not I wouldn't even say just New England. I would say the East Coast. You know, you have a lot of talented individuals, and it's not that I'm saying that because I'm from the East Coast. I'm saying that because look at who's being picked up. Look at who's at the performance center. Look who's at
Exactly.
AEW wrestling on
Mm-hmm.
Dark every week. You know what I mean? These are all guys that are from the area.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't a like a wet dream or anything of that nature. This is like being 100% honest with you. If you have the dedication, you have the heart, and you have the hunger, you can get to that point. And I've struggled with that for years and years and years and years. I sat there and I said, I'm comfortable doing this. I'm comfortable working for this person. I'm comfortable running my own promotion. Well, now I want my 12 years to mean something, and I want to get to that platform. Just one dark match. Just one dark match. That's all I need.
I give you a couple examples about what you're talking about right now. One is very evident of being somebody like Ms. Martinez, who got picked up after 19 years of being on the circuit. We all are very familiar with Miss Martinez. She gets picked up, and she finally hit that platform where she's been looking for. Maybe not quite to where she wants it to be yet, because, and we all love some NXT, but they still want to get to that SmackDown Raw, the bigger stage, if you will. They still want to get to there. Uh, and another one, Sean Donovan, out of the area, and I know we're very familiar with Sean Donovan. Uh, he just had a dark match, my friend.
Oh, really?
That Yes, he just had a dark match, so that's testament of what you're talking about. That's why I wanted to bring up those two names specifically. Seeing a guy like Sean Donovan getting an AEW dark match, I absolutely lost my shit, and I hit the share button immediately with the words "very cool." I had to. I mean, come on, man. So you never know. You just never know. And I'm not saying come on like why did they pick him up? I'm saying, come on, why didn't they pick him up way earlier?
Oh yeah.
And son of a bitch, when you just keep going and going, and like you said, sometimes you just want to hang it up, and then sometimes you just got to push through and get to a certain point. But seeing a guy like Sean Donovan and others that are getting these breaks, Max Caster, I know he hasn't been in the game very long, but son of a bitch, look at him get picked up on Dark, and now he's actually signed to AEW. Him and Anthony Bowens, just like that.
Yep.
So those are some fine
Absolutely.
examples, Uh, so man, it's crazy what's going on right now. It's great to be a fan, to be honest with you, even with the COVID and stuff. And I know we don't get to go to shows, but to see our familiar faces that we've seen in our area just like coming out like all over the place, dude. It's been crazy.
See, but that's what makes things tough is the fact that if you're trying to do what we're trying to do and get out there and potentially work for places like Ring of Honor, Impact, AEW, NXT, or WWE as a whole, it's tough because there's not many wrestling promotions running at this time, and the promotions that are doing it low key.
Right.
So it's a little bit of a struggle, you know what I mean? So
Mm.
it's kind of one of those things where you have to be in the right place at the right time, and hopefully you get that strike of luck behind you and be able to get you that opportunity. Or you could just do what I decided to do yesterday and just start merchandising, and hopefully somebody thinks my stuff is cool enough to start giving me emails and calling me. But nah, man. I mean, it's cool to see people that you've watched or looked up to or what I mean, have shared the locker room with. I shared I shared the locker room 10 years ago in NWW with Sasha Banks. You know what I mean? So that's one of the things that was like, holy shit, and you don't realize it because they changed their name, but it's like, oh wait, I know her, and the thing with like Mike Bennett and stuff, dude. It's just like you see these people and it's like, wow. I remember when these guys were on the indies, like the lower tier indies, and
Yeah.
now they're there. You know what I mean? They've made it. And yes, I do think ROH is making it. You know what I mean? I'm not picky and choosy of who's big enough. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
You,
no, go ahead,
it's
dude.
fun. It's funny you say that the name change, because the first thing that comes to my mind when they talk name changes is when they took Biff Busick and called him Oni Lorcan. It fucked with my head, bro. I mean, come on. It really did.
Funny story about Biff Busick. He came to an RSW show one time, and he was very upset at that show. When we were first starting out, obviously we weren't the greatest thing, and the videos are still out there for some reason. But Busick had come down to a show with uh, Steve Ricard, I think, runs Top Rope Promotions. They had come to an RSW show, and we had a mishap happening during the match, and I believe it was Joey Dice and Brian Sire, and Joey Dice had hit Sire with our old Inner City Championship, and it had very jagged edges on it, and ended up busting him open, and yeah, they weren't happy about that. They thought it was a spot and all this other stuff, and it was just a freak accident, dude. And
No.
yeah, they were pissed, but hey, I mean, it is what it is, dude. It's wrestling. You can't. What do you want, man?
Yeah.
But it is funny that they changed his name, dude. It is funny, and I actually gone to see NXT twice in, I believe it's URI's campus down in Charlton or Richmond, somewhere down in Lower Rhode Island, and he came out, and it was like they announced him as Oni Lorcan, and I'm like, well, who comes up with these damn names? Like, they just throw names at playing Scrabble, throwing it at the wall and seeing what. And I didn't realize it was him until they did the close up to him, and I'm like, holy crap, that's Biff Busick, like, damn, dude, like, he's here.
Yep.
It's like, it's just one of those things where like you see these guys and they pop up in these bigger companies that are on TV and stuff, and it's like, damn, dude, like that gives me inspiration. know what I mean? That gives me hope to be able to achieve something higher than what I have. You know?
Hey, my man's NXT champion, tag team champion right now.
Absolutely.
So I
Absolutely.
mean, holy cow! And not only that, do you remember when he first got picked up? He was running an Evolve, right, with the whole catch point thing going on or whatever. He was doing some stuff over there in Evolve Wrestling. William Regal was scouting at Evolve, and
Oh,
that's how Biff Busick got scooped up over there, along with some of the other guys that we've seen come in there. Along with the Matt Riddle, he got picked up same way through Revolve. Tony Nese, another guy. So yeah, there was a thing going on over there with William Regal and some of these guys coming in.
wow. See, I didn't know that. I did
Mm-hmm.
not know that. One thing I didn't, I don't know a lot, too many concussions and chair shots. It
Hey,
happens.
I've never had a chair. I've never had a chair shot, and I'm still not that bright. So that's quite all right, man. Don't even. uh, Now, speaking of chair shots, I kind of want to touch upon something with you. I've been wanting to actually talk to you that I don't believe I talked to you about previously. Uh, Now, you've been involved in some pretty crazy shit. We're talking chair shots now. Uh, Now, when you get into these, now it's not a traditional wrestling match. When you get into these matches where shit is about to change, you're gonna have chairs, you're gonna have tables, or there's a ladder, or there's a this, or there's a that, and it becomes more of a hardcore scenario than a traditional match. Uh, do you have to tweak your brain a little bit, or do you have to psych yourself up anymore? Do you have to have a different mindset when you're walking into these things? Because me, I would never know because I'm not that fucking crazy. So I would love to, I would love to get your perspective as somebody that's been in it, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to walk in there with a different perspective. You do have to walk in there with a different mindset. You have to essentially channel whatever beast you have deep down inside you and just give zero f's about anything because it's going to get crazy, dude. There's times where I've gone as far personally as far as sitting there and really putting on a friend of mine's face paint and essentially channeling him. He had passed a while back, but channeling him because he used to do these matches and just go out there. And next thing you know, everybody's sitting there and they're like, "Dude, you scared me. Like you seem like you were somebody else. Like you were him." And it's like, dude, like I felt scared because I'm going out there and I'm going, "What the hell am I doing? Why am I grabbing this? Why am I grabbing that?" And I'm just going to town. But yeah, you definitely have to have a different mindset, and that's speaking out in terms of like these hardcore stipulation matches. That's not talking about death matches. I've never personally been in a death match.
Right.
Death matches get really crazy. So I mean, I have to
Yeah.
think that you have to be really crazy to do crazy. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, they're nuts, dude. And being involved in the matches that I've been in it's a whole different ball game than a regular match.
Hmm.
You have to go in there thinking 2 steps forward. You know what I mean? So
Now, I've heard announcers. We've all heard announcers. Uh, I'll use an example of a cage match. When those two guys get in there, they're gonna have a war, but when they come out, it's gonna take years off of their career. Do you feel that these hardcore situations really take a little bit more of a toll on your career? Obviously, they do because you're being hit by weaponry and such. That's very evident. But do you feel that they do take that much of a toll off of your career?
absolutely, dude. I don't know if Jacqueline had talked about it in her interview, but um, we had done a match in RACW called the Faction Wars match, and it was a 5-on-5, and um, it just the amount of carnage and things that happened in that match, and the beating that I personally took, everybody else took. I left a piece of myself in that ring that will never I'll never be the same. And I'm
Mm.
sure everybody else can contest to that for themselves. Because, man, it just, you go in there as somebody else, you come back out, and you're a completely different person. You're not the same, if you will. And being in a cage match, it's the same thing, man. Ladder matches, TLCs, hardcore matches, um, you name it, dude. It takes a piece from it literally takes a piece from you, whether it's from your mind or physically, dude. It literally takes a piece from you. So
I've said it 1,000 times on these interviews. We appreciate, not all of us, we're a bunch of us fans are just jackasses, but a bunch of us, we really do appreciate what the men and women do in that ring, and that's why we keep coming back and coming back and doing our thing, because without you guys doing your thing, we're not coming. So I mean, I always applaud you men and women for, man, going through some heavy shit in that ring. Uh, I could never, I could never do it. I don't know how Miss Sparks survives in there. Never mind being a champion. That is just insane. It really blows my mind that she is the Universal Champion, and with her stature, though, that's what really it tweaks with my head.
of course, dude, of course, like you wouldn't expect a little 5'6" woman to run around and kick people's asses. You know what I mean? So I mean, the guys the towering guys that she's taken out, dude, like it's crazy. It's crazy. I would never thought of it. You know what I mean? I would never thought I'd see it. But yeah, it's insane. And like that's the thing too. Going back to the whole thing about taking pieces from you, I think for her it was the opposite, dude. I think it gave her motivation. You know what I mean? I think it gave her something more because now she realized that, you know, getting involved in something like this, if she can take it, that means that she could go all the way to the top. You know what I mean? Like there ain't nothing stopping. Um, but yeah, dude, it's great, man. It's great. And if it wasn't for the fans, you're pointing out the wrestlers and thanking the wrestlers. If it wasn't for the fans, that wouldn't be professional wrestling. Because without you guys and your support for all these promotions that throw on shows, for all these wrestlers that go out, even being a fan as myself when I was younger, you don't get new wrestlers by just walking amongst the street and being like, hey, I saw this cool thing. This guy had fly. No, you get wrestlers by fans, and fans turn into wrestlers when they're older. So
Yeah, absolutely. I and that's what I love about the independent scene and the aspect of it all, because I'm a regular guy that reaches out to my local promotions and the local talents when I get interviews. I've never been the guy that is looking for the names and Impact, ROH, and such, and WWE and whatnot. And I know I don't have that kind of reach, but I've never been that guy that was looking for the names on that kind of platform. I always wanted to get the independent talent because, son of a bitch, I love watching uh, kids. I've actually, in the past 4 years, I've watched kids go from high school training and becoming wrestlers, and getting their gimmick together, evolving their move set, evolving their mindset. And I mean, dude, it's been an absolute blast watching these kids evolve. And not only kids, because not all wrestlers get in when they're young. There's some
um,
older cats that get there's some older cats that get in. And again, it's been a blast watching them as well evolve their character and such. And I'm telling you, man, I love it all on the indie scene. I think just a tad more than I do on that higher platform, to be honest with you, for real.
nah, man. I mean, that's the thing. You get a lot more uh, creative sense as a talent in the independents than you do out there. You know what I mean? Um, I I see a lot of guys happy on the independents. I'm happy where I'm at, but at the same time, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that thinks that there's always more. There's always room to improve. There's always another level, and
Mm.
before I do actually hang it up, I'd like to get to that other level. But that's me personally. As speaking, as Chaz Marinelli or Kevin, whichever you want to talk about. But yeah, it is what it is. This business is not an easy business, and for having kids that are 17, 18, 19 years old, rolling right out of school and wanting to be wrestlers. I've seen, like you said, I've seen a lot of young kids just roll right out of high school and become wrestlers. My tag team partners are two of them. You know what I mean? Way back in the day. Um, so I mean, that's the thing, man. And those guys, they're better off than somebody like me, where I'm 30 years old trying to get into the circuit. They're
Mhm.
better at their age, as long as they got a clear head, and they don't have an ego. They're not gonna sit there and bury the people that made them.
Mhm.
As long as they have those going for them, as well as the talent and the mic skills, they could get anywhere, dude. I guarantee you, like half the guys that you see in the area that are all those young guys, they'll be on TV very soon, very soon.
I, I'm going to use one more example that we're both very familiar with. Anthony Green has now had two TV matches, and it's amazing seeing him go through what he's gone. As a fan, I've seen him looking so young, referee status, and then making his way. Now we're seeing him on TV on NXT. And I know I just wanted to bring that name up because I know there's so many people in the surrounding states that are very familiar with Anthony because the kid was working his ever loving ass off from the whole East Coast. And not only that, going to the West Coast and such. So that's a perfect example. And I always say I'm too skinny and I would never make it, but I'm too fucking lazy. That's what
No,
that
no.
is. But some of these thinner guys are surprising me for real. Right now, some of these thinner guys and kids are really totally surprising of what they're doing in the ring because I feel that they're gonna die at any moment, but no, they're doing their thing.
I mean, it just falls on the whole concept of, like you said, you got to be motivated. You got to want it. That's the whole thing. You got to want to be in that picture, and maybe back in the day it wasn't like that for a lot of these guys, the older generation, where everything was regional and they had to have a certain look and you have to look like you're roided up, whatnot, Um, but now it's a different story, dude. Anybody, it's like a clear open field, dude, of talent that you can pick from, and it doesn't matter what they look like. If they have it, they have it, and you can put them pretty much anywhere.
now,
Um,
now I wanted to touch upon something that we were kind of speaking of earlier about the talent that are on the independent circuit. Their strides are usually for that WWE status or another bigger name, but mostly it's the WWE status. That's what they've grown up on. That's what they kind of wanted to get to that plateau, that platform. But I've noticed, and I'll use guys like Sammy Callahan comes to mind. Sammy Callahan, he's on the independent circuit. He gets picked up on NXT. They give him a different look. They give him a different name, Solomon Crow. They have him on TV. Then he disappears. He kind of fades away. He comes back on the circuit. He's Sammy Callahan doing exactly what he was doing pre NXT. And he's not the only one that's done this, my friend. What are your thoughts on that whole circle of going, I want that dream of WWE. Wait, I'm here. I'm not really digging this. I want to go back. I want to go back to where I was. Can I do that? Give me your thoughts on that.
too many people visualize, the big money contracts, and they want to be like John Cena or Triple H or The Rock. Um, you know, that's an unrealistic approach towards things. And to be honest with you, I would love to quit my shoot job and go wrestle and hit the road and make all the money in the world. It's not going to happen. Um, I'm content. Like I said, when we were talking about making it big, I'm content with doing one dark match. That's it, one. Not looking for big money contract. I'm looking to do it to say I did it. Guys like Sami Callihan, I think Sami Callihan has turned Impact Wrestling around. Because when a few years ago, you had the exit of the Hardys, you had the exit of everybody that, pretty much built that company. When he came in, he pretty much rebuilt, Impact, along with others. I'm not knocking anybody else. But now Impact's starting to get back up to, that standard that they used to be at. But to visualize a big money contract and sit there and say, hey, I'm going to be rich. I'm going to drive in limos and I'm going to have a big ass house and I'm going to live in Florida. And, it's not going to happen, man. And I'm not saying it's not going to happen as far as like, you're not going to achieve that dream. I'm saying it's not going to happen because you're focused too much on the wrong thing. AEW, Impact, ROH, well, I can't really say Impact, but all these big companies, you're sitting there thinking that you're chasing $1 million dream. It's not going to happen. If you sit there and think, hey, I'm going to get there, build myself up. If I get one shot, I'm not going to drop the ball on that. You essentially just take that dream that you have and keep it to yourself, build your way up. If you achieve that dream, awesome. Good for you. You deserve it. But if you visualize that you're going to get the money contract right off the bat, ain't going to fucking happen. Oh, I cussed. Oh,
hey, this is starting to pot. Don't mind that. That's fine.
All right. I got that bombs now. But anyway, I'll tell them how I really feel.
Now, kind of on the same kind of wavelength, there's news that I'm going to use Keith Lee for an example. Keith Lee's on the independent circuit. I seen him work Dijak and a bunch of others before he got, put on the bigger platform. And then they took that same feud and redid it because I'm sure they were watching and they were like, we could fucking do something cool with that. And so they kind of rehashed that feud as they do with other workers that they bring in that we've already seen. Right. These feuds on the independent circuit. But my point being is the fans absolutely lost their absolute shit when Keith Lee came out for NXT. Now what are they going to do with him? They bring him onto the bigger stage, being the SmackDown and the Raw platforms. And now there's word that Vince he needs some work in the NXT Performance Center. What? Those kind of stories really pee me off because we know what Keith Lee is worthy of doing and how he works in that ring. Obviously, they've seen what he is capable of doing in the ring. Why bring a guy like that in, put him on the bigger stages, and then sit there and publicly kind of ridicule him and saying, you need more work? That's basically what I'm reading from it. And I'm not trying to stir shit up. And I know this is called stirring the pot. But again, I think you're one of these guys that could give me good opinions on this stuff.
So anyway, Keith Lee wouldn't have made the NXT if Keith Lee needed work. You know what I'm saying? If he didn't make it to the top, if he didn't make it to NXT and then make it to the main roster, there's why? Why would you do that? Why would you pull a guy from NXT if he needed work? I think Vince is just going senile, dude. To be honest with you, he's just going senile because listen, it's fact, man. Anybody you ask, promoters, wrestlers, anyone, if you're in a promotion, not everyone's going to win a championship. Not everybody's going to be a star player. People are going to have to work. People are going to be mechanics. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. Everybody has a certain job, and there's certain people that have that job. Keith Lee, I think he would have been better off staying in NXT, not even going to WWE at all. But that goes along the lines with other people, man. My boy Samoa Joe, dude. I love Joe. I've watched Joe since I first found out about fucking TNA and ROH, man. Seeing his feuds with fucking CM Punk and ROH. Like, the guy is great. Mm-hmm. You keep putting him in matches where he gets hurt. Keeps getting hurt. Now you stick him on a commentary table. What the hell are you doing? Yeah. What are you doing? You got this guy that has all this power, man, all this star power, and you just piss it away, dude. There ain't gonna be another Triple H. There ain't gonna be another Rock. There ain't gonna be another Austin, man. You have to look past that shit.
Yeah.
Why would you want another Rock? Why would you want another Stone Cold?
Those big giant personalities seem to be just kind of gone, almost like a forgotten thing. They haven't popped up in our modern era as of late, and it's something that's missing, if you will.
Wrestling has adapted. You know, and I believe this is the problem with the mindset that Vince has. Keith Lee is a big man. Big men shouldn't be fast. Big men shouldn't be agile. But guess what? He is. So utilize that tool, man. Utilize that. Use it. Use it.
Yeah.
We use it all the time on the indie circuit. You see big guys diving all the freaking time, man.
Yeah.
So why don't you use it? If it works for us, it's going to work for you. You have guys that are running feuds. You still listen. My biggest thing is I see a lot of things being stolen off the indies.
The indies,
okay, especially my shit. All right, I see a lot of weird coincidences of my shit. Now I'm just, fucking around. But it's just like if you're gonna, grab these guys and make them in the stars. Make them in the stars, man. Don't half-ass it. Don't take somebody like Keith Lee or Dijak or Tommaso or Gargano. I mean, Gargano and Tommaso are big deals in NXT, but don't take guys like that from the indies. Put them in situations because we all remember what happened when Gargano and Ciampa went to the main roster. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that was a big fucking botch. And they're doing the same thing with Ricochet, dude.
Yes, thank you, yes.
Ricochet, and I know Ricochet might be the best fucking wrestler in the world, but you won't know because they book him shitty.
Now I know we've gone in a different direction with this interview. It's kind of gone away from Mr. Chaz. It's kind of gone away from Mr. Chaz Marinelli, the personality, in-ring personality, if you will. But I've actually wanted to pick your brain because I was kind of thinking, how do I attack this interview today? Because hasn't been a lot going on in ring, and you guys, the chop shop has gone down. So these questions that I've thrown at you, I think, again, and I'm going to reiterate probably for the 5th time, I think you're one of the guys that I could throw questions and get honest answers from. And that's why I gave you these questions instead of sticking to, I mean, really, Mr. Chaz Marinelli is about is about killing people and hurting people and kicking ass, taking names and stuff like that. We know that about Mr. Marinelli, but I really wanted to get your opinions, like you said at the top of this, behind it a little bit, because you're not afraid of talking about that. And I appreciate your candor and your honesty with the questions that I've thrown at you today. And again, I'm sorry that we did not focus all of it on the anti-hero, but it's about your personality as well, my friend.
The anti-hero and what you see here is me, man. There's no bullshit. There's no gray. Like, this is the thing, man. Like a lot of people sit there and they're like, oh, your character needs a little bit of work and this and that. Like, I'll have random ass people come up to me and be like, oh, I don't really like a character. I'm like, well, too fucking bad. Go fuck yourself. That's me. And I'm no bullshit. Like, I could tell you stories that would make people's heads spin. I could tell you stories that would get a freaking angry mob after me. But you know what? We'll save those for a later date. But the point is that, man, like my whole thing, dude, I walk the gray line. Like, wrestling for me is life, dude. Like, I watch it, I study it, I live it, dude. Like, but to get back to your question, which was, you had a question.
We were talking all of that Keith Lee stuff and all of that and all of that, and it just kind of got into a tangent. And I was saying that I'm sorry we didn't focus it all of our interview on Mr. Marinelli.
But that's fine, because that's the what you see, what you got is me. That's Chaz Marinelli, man. That's the anti-hero, and that's why I'm the anti-hero. I'll say what I have to say, dude. I'll say what needs to be said. I tell the truth. It's in my goddamn entrance music. You know, before the truth will set you free, it'll piss you off. And guess what? You know, maybe my answers aren't for everybody. Maybe my interviews aren't for everybody. But you know what? There's been podcasters I've extended my hand out to tell stories, tell them the origins of RSW because I'm a promoter. Tell them the origins of Chaz Marinelli, the Anarchist Empire, the brand. You know, Jacqueline Sparks, how she got involved. There's all kinds of stories, man. The origins of the Chop Shop. I bet everybody doesn't realize that the Chop Shop Part 2 was actually a joint partnership between RSW and RWA.
Interesting.
Nobody knows that.
Interesting.
Actually, there were 3 companies. The third company you're very familiar with. That's the Mass Anarchy Wrestling.
Oh wow. They're part of that whole original.
Of course, but there's no recognition behind it. See, that's the thing, and a lot of people, and I know you weren't given the opportunity to see a lot of RSW shows, but there are a lot of people that are out of tune with it, and unfortunately, the only things that you can see is what's uploaded onto YouTube, which is not the best stuff. You know what I mean? It's the stuff that made it. But I mean, as far as redirecting the conversation and going here and there and that, bro, that's me, man. That's me. You got 100% me. Like, you got 100% me besides my shoot name. You want that too? I'll tell you that too.
No, but how I would like to kind of bring this down to a tail end is I've never spoken to you about, and I'm not going to give you the old general question, what was your favorite match? I want you to think of a match that makes you smile, that comes to mind and what you're so happy with, either because of your opponent, the way it came out, your performance, something that really comes to mind that makes you happy. A match that, obviously you have memorable matches, but there's all sorts of different matches. What comes to mind if I'm saying, give me your thoughts on what makes you happy, one of your most memorable matches that really makes you smile, and you could be standing in line at the grocery store. It'll come into mind and be like, what a fucking asshole, or I was such a douche there, or that was some good times. What comes to mind when I say that?
When you say that, it's kind of a tie. It's kind of a tie. There's 2 matches that are right up there, my favorites, and one match just so happens to be, and I hope it sees the light of day because it was just that much to me. Was a trios match with the brand, me, Jamie Tucker, and Little Daddy Bravo, and we took on the Dirt City Murder Crew, which was Mike Montero, Jason Devine, Ricky Medeiros. And that match was a big middle finger to all people that thought differently of us, because back in the day, there were guys that sat there and said, hey, you guys suck. Like, you guys aren't ever going to do anything. You're not going to be good, this and that. When we went out there, every time we went out there with DCMC, we put on fucking magic. And that match right there put a smile on my face because we could hang with those guys. And the other match would have to be the Faction Wars match that happened in RSW. Just because so much went into it, and it was literally 2 years of all of our lives rolled into one final curtain call. And but both matches had my friends with me. You know what I mean? A lot of people will sit there and they'll do interviews and they'll say, hey, this guy, my partner's my friend, this and that. We're close. We're like brothers. Nah, man, me, LDB, and Jamie, we're tight, man. Those are my brothers. And I would fight anybody for them. I would do anything for those guys. So those are the matches that make me smile because those guys were by my side.
I was kind of thinking something along those lines were coming our way, because the RICW family is very tight knit over there. I've noticed. Not only the RICW family, I mean there are the other promotions under that same umbrella, under the Chop Shop too. But I've spoken to you in a couple of the RICW roster, and it's very evident that it is a tight knit family over there at RICW.
Oh, of course, man. I mean, you got and there's guys that I don't even mention, man. There's the thing about RSW, our personal roster, is that everybody backstage has an understanding that work needs to get done. We need to go out there. We need to perform at our highest quality for the fans. You know, we need to give the fans their money's worth. But there's guys that I haven't mentioned. You know, there's guys like Billy Ware. Billy Ware's an awesome high flyer, dude. Like, not a lot of credit is given to him. Um, you know, I know he annoys the hell out of you, but Coach C, he's, I mean, the kid gets heat, man. The kid gets heat. But you know, he's another kid that's going to be up and coming. I mean, you got guys like Hunter Kane. Hunter Kane's a freaking monster, dude. Like, he'll rip a Volkswagen in two, man. Like, he's nuts. Abruzzi, Cipriano Abruzzi. Like, these are all guys that really should be somewhere out there, like on the higher tiers. And I don't think they get enough credit, but RSW is a family. You know what I mean? Like, it may be a really dysfunctional family, but we are a family because we all have the understanding that we need to go out there and leave the drama at the door or bring it into the ring one way or another. But we really need to go out there and perform and make sure, you know, the people are given their money's worth and are entertained, man. And that's the thing. Like, we're all tight knit, man.
Well, that's the kind of shit that I like to hear, man, because wrestling we all love, but that behind as as the years have gone on, I've kind of been privy to some of the behind the scenes stuff. Not all of it is pretty. Some of it is, some of it isn't. And I applaud for the ones that can really keep it together and just manage, you know, like you said, manage the drama. Take that back home with you because this is a different environment. So there's really no need for it. So I appreciate that. And Mr. Marinelli, this has been an absolute pleasure talking to you this evening because, again, we have had such a very busy Saturday today. I don't know what the hell I was thinking about scheduling 3 interviews. I'm such a dumbass. I haven't had an interview in so long. And yeah, why not put in 3 in one day? What the hell? So it's been an absolute blast talking to you. You being so open and candid. We talked about many different aspects of the game itself, RICW, the Antihero, Miss Sparks, the roster. I mean, we talked about a lot tonight, and I really appreciate everything that you gave us, the fans, tonight, sir.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you again for having me back, dude. Like, I enjoy doing this. I enjoy talking wrestling, and that's the thing. Like, a lot of people, you know, this is my passion, dude. This is my passion, and I love it, dude. I love being able to give people behind the scenes information and stuff like that. You know, I like spoiling shit.
Well, your time was excellent. We had a blast. It's been a busy evening, so we capped it off with the anti-hero himself. This is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, the anti-hero, Chaz Marinelli. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.